Biggest unsolved mysteries in Hawaii.
North Shore murder this week.
North Shore.
North Shore. Oahu's North Shore.
Power behind these waves.
How do you think the surf industry was started? Quicksilver and all these companies, most of them were started with dope money.
Residents in the normally peaceful and quiet Sunset Beach neighborhood are still shaken about what happened.
One end to the North Shore to the other. This stretch of coastline on Oahu's North Shore doesn't just hold some of the most beautiful beaches in the world. There happens to be a dark past with secrets not advertised and potentially thought to be covered up to protect tourism. And like many places, undocumented mysteries have happened. Instances happened here you would never expect in a paradise like Oahu's North Shore. And it didn't happen once, it happened again and again in the same fields you see here. On August 10th, 1999, two farmers walked into the cane field near Thompson Corner and found the body of 24-year-old Michelle Ann Bensinger, who was a sex worker from Waikiki. Police said her body might have been there for up to a week before anyone found her. Her death was treated as suspicious, likely a homicide, but no one was ever arrested for killing her. Then something happened here that made people lock their doors. In 1999, door-to-door vacuum salesman Mel Tabak went to a house here in Waialua and never came back. The homeowner, Michael Lawrence, admitted he killed Tabak, but in 2002, a judge found him not guilty of second-degree murder by reason of mental disease. Too many things happen in the world that go undocumented, but another Waialua incident happened on February 28th, 2022. Honolulu police were called to a home in Waialua after neighbors heard what sounded like gunshots. Inside, officers found 37-year-old Dexter Blue Lorenzo and his 3-year-old son, both dead from single gunshot wounds in what investigators called an apparent murder-suicide. But to this day, they never know for sure. Not a soul. So when you look at Waialua on a map, it looks like a forgotten sugar town on the North Shore. But once you know the names and the stories, and you know they were all connected to one small place, this makes me think of Waialua as an eerie remote city of Hawaii. Every time I'm there, it almost feels too quiet. But as we investigate more of the North Shore, you will see there's a much darker past. This video is not to throw hate on businesses, but killer tacos, do not eat there unless you want some boofy Mexican, and I spent my money there. You saw the new Lilo and Stitch. It's a $300 million movie. Shot right here. BANZAI sushi, the yellow building. When most people think of HALEIWA, they see a surf town, old buildings, food trucks, big waves in the winter, and perfect waves in the summer. Feels peaceful and harmless. But that image is only the surface of something far older and more complicated than I ever could explain. But I'll try my best. I was told to go to Jenny's Shrimp Truck, so that's where we're headed. They're putting it on everything. It's better than Giovanni's. We'll see. It's settled. Giovanni's is better than Jenny's, in my opinion, because of their spicy sauce. We're at the Farm to Barn. Is it acai or acai? I hear every other person switch it up. Farm to Barn. How can you say Farm to Barn when you have frozen acai? Like, come on. I'm sure they got good options though. Bro, if you don't leave with acai on your face, did you even visit the North Shore? While the sugar plantations also took place in HALEIWA, it also took land and pushed native families aside. Village grounds were converted, sacred places were buried beneath plantations and rail lines, just like many parts of Hawaii. Then came the war. During World War II, the quiet coastline became part of America's defense system. Soldiers trained here, artillery was tested along the shore. Even today, there are places nearby that are still marked with warnings about unexploded military ordnance. And then there's the ocean. The same ocean that built HALEIWA's legend, also taking countless lives. Every year, swimmers, visitors, and even experienced locals have been in tragic ocean accidents, some disappearing and never found. There have been shark attacks here and all across the North Shore, and like many parts of Hawaii. But in January of 2025, a 23-year-old was bitten on the arm and was hospitalized in serious condition at the HALEIWA boat harbor. The attack reportedly happened while the victim was in a bait ball of fish. In this same place, 3 teenagers happened to crash into a pole and they fell into the HALEIWA boat harbor. Luckily, they were all okay. There are too many crazy things that happen in the ocean to report on, but an instance that shows how unforgiving the ocean can be. In January of 2025, Joey Fujioka and Samantha Chun disappeared from Keiki Beach after driving to the area on a date. Human remains were found offshore and the DNA was later confirmed to be Joy Fujioka's. The search for Samantha Chun was officially suspended, though her family still has hope.
Last known to be on Oahu's North Shore.
The family is desperate for any information, and they're offering up a $50,000 reward for any information or her safe return.
She's priceless to us. We would give anything, but like just to get some sort of information or clues.
Well, who's to say that something was missed or there's not information out there that might lead to them opening up the investigation again, so that's what we're looking for.
As we travel further down the North Shore, you will see on the edge of HALEIWA and PUPUKEA is the world-renowned WAIMEA Bay. Historically, WAIMEA Bay is one of the most prestigious big wave surf spots in the world and is considered one of the first places where massive waves were surfed starting in the 1950s. It is the destination of the iconic surf competition in memory of Eddie Aikau. Eddie was a legendary waterman and lifeguard here that rescued over 500 people. As you may already know, death, drownings, and injuries have happened a lot here because it is one of the most dangerous surf spots in the world. But what most people don't realize is that Waimea's danger isn't just surf. This bay has a way of creating moments that feel impossible. Moments that don't seem real until you watch the news footage back again. For instance, during the Eddy in 2023, thousands of people stood shoulder to shoulder along the cliffs. And right in the middle of the chaos, a man sprinted into the water after his dog. A split-second difference in this story would have ended up very differently. A few moments later, an outrigger canoe attempted to ride a massive Waimea wave. The entire canoe flipped.
There was a crazy canoe accident.
Oh my god, the canoe. Like steer a little bit. I was on the two waves before it. Me and Eli watched the whole thing. They just full yard sail.
It was nuts.
It was knifing it. They were knifing it and I'm like, oh, board. And then they like made it around the board and then the wave landed and all of a sudden the tail just front flip. I was like, oh my gosh.
Waimea isn't just a surf spot. It's a place where miracles, tragedies, legends, and mysteries collide. And no matter how many stories come out of this bay, like anywhere else, there's a new chapter of the unknown to come. This is a reminder that this isn't just paradise, sometimes it's a wild, unforgiving edge of the world. There's so many stories that happen in the North Shore waters, but the most unsettling stories aren't always in the water. And while the ocean writes its own tragedies, the land carries its own. Over the years, HALEIWA and the surrounding North Shore have been connected to unsolved deaths, disappearances, and violent moments that made the news, and then somehow faded away. Like many other places, people have left home and never returned, but the fact that there is a small coastline on the island of Hawaii that I've personally spent so much time at is extra mysterious. And then there is what is not talked about, but you can find information on after digging. Hawaii, as an island state, has been identified as a vulnerable location for human trafficking, especially among the unhoused, runaways, and young people lured by false promises. While most confirmed cases are connected to urban areas like Honolulu, the reality is what begins in the city does not always stay there. Quiet towns, forgotten roads, remote beaches, places just like this. Sometimes the most peaceful places carry the heaviest past, but like many historic communities, HALEIWA's growth came with tension between development and preservation between local families and outside investors. It stands today not only as a surf town, but as a place shaped by the industry, war, culture, and change. Some moments were captured, others were simply swallowed by time.
Yeah, Welcome store's gone, I think. Next time I come back, it'll be something different. Surf and Sea will still be there though. It's been there like 90 years or something. When they tell me stop vlogging, we can't stop.
This leads us to the most feared mile of ocean on Earth. PUPUKEA is home to BANZAI Pipeline and Sunset Beach. Big wave surf spots like Nazare and Mavericks are places that have bigger waves, but statistically, BANZAI Pipeline is the deadliest wave in the world. This is because it is a crowded, shallow, sharp reef that causes severe injuries and drownings. But before we go into the dark side of Pipeline and Sunset Beach, there's a famous snorkel spot at the beginning of PUPUKEA called Shark's Cove. Most people know to stay away from here during the winter, but some tourists are not always aware of the dangers. As you can see in these videos, the ocean can turn into your worst nightmare at any given point. But Shark's Cove is just the doorway into what PUPUKEA really is. Once you go down the road, you've arrived at the deadliest wave ever surfed. Pipeline didn't become famous for just being big, even though it is routinely 20 to 30 feet. It became famous because of what it does beneath the surface. A perfect barrel breaking over razor-sharp reef and water sometimes as shallow as 3 feet. For decades, Pipeline has taken lives. For example, in memory of some of these legends, Malik Joyo was an elite Tahitian surfer who drowned after a heavy wipeout. John Mozo was a Hawaiian water photographer killed shooting from inside a barrel. Joshua Nakata was a bodyboarder who was fatally driven into the reef. And many more were lucky enough to survive, but left with broken backs, shattered jaws, ruptured lungs, and lifelong injuries, you name it. Pipeline is one of the only waves in the world where injuries and rescues happen constantly every single winter.
Helmet blown in half, and then talked to him, and he was like, dude, I don't remember 10 minutes.
Do you remember how it happened?
I don't even know, dude. I was blacked out.
Oh my
Pipeline is the most dangerous wave in the world. Really shallow, it's really powerful, and it's really crowded.
If you look underwater there, it's so unforgiving. 3 to 4 feet of water against Mother Nature at Pipeline, that's nothing. You're getting slammed straight on concrete.
It's already a dangerous wave, but you throw 100 guys on it and it just accelerates everything.
Pipeline doesn't care who you are, like how good you are. One wrong move and you're in the ambulance going to the hospital.
There's 2 people who surf Pipeline. There's those who have slammed the reef and those who have yet to slam the reef, and that's it.
I didn't really care about anything but getting this wave, so I was going on waves I shouldn't have.
The lip sometimes just parts the water almost all the way to the reef. It's like there's no water. I hit both of my feet on the bottom, my foot buckled down to my knee, and then broke my kneecap in half on the other side.
My helmet actually ripped off of my head, and my last memory was looking over at the jet ski and saying, oh, I'm good. And then in the video, I duck dive a wave, and then I duck dive another wave, and then I don't come up.
Somebody, if not everybody, will have a bad hit at some point at Pipe.
What people don't realize is that Pipeline isn't just dangerous in the water. The beach culture back then was wild, chaotic, and violent. In multiple interviews and podcasts, including Jamie O'Brien's, legends of the North Shore have openly talked about the underground world tied to surf culture in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. This isn't a rumor, this is documented surf history. They said back in the early days, many surf companies and local surf crews were involved in marijuana smuggling, not as a glamorous lifestyle, but as a way to survive and fund the surf culture.
You know, we'd go surf, pipe, get barreled, come in, sell 100 pounds of weed. And it was like no big thing.
Yeah.
It's just what it was. How do you think the surf industry was started? Quicksilver and all these companies, most of them were started with dope money. Cool, I got a good wave at Pipeline, cool, but what'd you do after? You know what I mean? Like.
Before Pipeline became the gladiator pit of what surfing is today, Sunset Beach was the proving ground. In 1965, the world watched the first ever surf event broadcasted on television, the Duke Kahanamoku Invitational, held right here. This is the moment surfing stepped out of Hawaiian mythology and into the global spotlight. The sport's earliest champions all carved their name into Sunset first. Events like the Pipeline Masters and later the Vans Triple Crown of Surfing were born, turning the North Shore into the center of the surfing universe. But Sunset Beach isn't just historic, it's one of the most deceptive waves on the North Shore. At sunset, the danger isn't the reef like Pipeline, it's the strong rip currents. Experienced surfers get thrown around here. Lifeguards say that sunset rescues are some of the longest and most exhausting on the entire island. This is because the currents drag victims hundreds of yards away from shore. Sunset is also one of the most common shark sighting beaches on the North Shore. There hasn't been any recent aggressive attacks here, but sightings of large tiger sharks cruising through bait balls offshore, especially during winter. If Pipeline is about who is fearless, Sunset is about who is patient, strategic, and mentally tough. This is where surf crews formed alliances, where rivalries began, and where legends earned respect. Even today on the biggest swells, Sunset feels less like a beach and more like a stadium with no seats. But the story of the North Shore does not end at sunset.
KAHUKU, the home of the Florence brothers. I would say it's the most rural part of Oahu's North Shore, besides the other end, which I showed you at first.
Once you pass the last beach house, you enter KAHUKU. KAHUKU feels different, remote, quiet, closed off from the rest of the island almost. The kind of place where if something happens, no one sees it. KAHUKU Point is the northernmost tip of Oahu. This is a place of powerful contradictions, one of the last untouched habitats of monk seals, albatross, and native plants, yet also one of the most polluted stretches of coastline on Oahu. Like I mentioned in the past, the entire North Shore sees shark encounters, but KAHUKU is different.
Find a bomb in the water. Oh.
This coastline is a natural feeding and pumping zone for tiger sharks, one of the largest predators in Hawaiian waters. And tragically, this is where the North Shore's most recent fatal shark attack occurred. On June 23, 2024, the island was shaken by news no one expected. Tamayo Perry was a legendary pipeline surfer, professional lifeguard, and actor known from Blue Crush and Pirates of the Caribbean. He was fatally attacked by a shark while surfing at a beach in Kahuku. He wasn't a tourist, he wasn't inexperienced, he was one of Hawaii's greatest watermen. And yet, even he wasn't safe from the power of the ocean out there.
You never know what you're getting into.
But shark attacks aren't the only thing Kahuku is known for. This part of the island has a long, complicated history, one that most visitors driving to Turtle Bay never hear about. For decades, Turtle Bay has been at the center of debates over land ownership, development, environmental protection, and cultural rights. Luxury on one side, sacred land and endangered species habitats on the other. You hear surfers talk about the 7-mile miracle, the stretch of coastline from HALEIWA to Sunset Beach that holds the greatest surf breaks on Earth. Kahuku is the final chapter, the place where energy of the North Shore shifts from surf culture to something quieter, older, and harder to understand.
I'm definitely gonna miss the North Shore the most, and I probably spent the most time here. Met a lot of friends here, had a lot of jobs here. Jobs as in like side gigs. Surfed a lot here, ate a lot here, watched a lot of sunsets here.
We went from one end to the North Shore to the other, starting in WAIALUA, ending in Kahuku. As you can see, if you don't already know, the North Shore is sold as paradise, but there's a lot more to the story. Please like and subscribe and let me know in the comments if there's any other story you want me to cover.